Good evening, everyone. We have a very special guest tonight. Welcome to another edition of the Superstars podcast. I want to welcome to the stage Mr. Ed Rogers of Honest Real Estate. How are you, sir?
I can't complain, man. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. This is a long time coming. I'm a fanboy of yours. Been watching you and the company grow, and I want to get the full enchilada. So I'll give you the rundown. We're going to start the first 30 minutes or where you're from, where you grew up. We're trying to pull the characteristics and figure out, what are those things that gave you that hustle and flow, that grind out of you. And
Okay.
then towards the end, we're going to get into the real estate part of this and talk about the company and the things you're seeing in yourself and everyone you're working with. So,
Nice.
you're going to blink and an hour's going to go by, believe it or not.
You're, you're going to hear the dogs going crazy soon as my wife and daughter get home. So we're trying to keep them quiet.
Listen, I'd rather be live. That makes it authentic,
Yeah, very true.
So, Ed, let's start off. Let's play some context. Tell everyone real quick about Honest, where they can find you, where your offices are, and then we can get into the nitty gritty.
So Honest Real Estate, we have two locations right now in Philadelphia. One in like the Parkwood section of Philadelphia, like Byberry and Academy, Greater Northeast. And we just opened up another location in Bridesburg section of Philadelphia, which is like Orthodox and Almond Street in a 19137 zip code.
And that area, for people that don't know, where's Bridesburg in the landscape of the city?
So most people probably heard that, probably heard of like Fishtown, Port
By
Richmond.
the way, you can talk to these people when they say, "What up, Mark?"
Mark's the man, dude.
He flew up on your screen there.
Yeah. So Bridesburg's just like north of like Fishtown and Port Richmond, and it's just a small neighborhood. There's like 2 or 3 ways in and out through the neighborhood. It's along the riverside, so a lot of people are saying that Fishtown, Port Richmond is up and coming, so they believe Bridesburg would be the next great location.
Got it. So physically, if you catch the wave starting from the center out, that's the next physical spot.
Yeah, if you kind of follow the path of the way gentrification is happening, or maybe not so much gentrification, but just the way it's moving up the riverside.
Gotcha. And just general appreciation for neighborhoods that were probably undervalued, right?
Yeah, I believe actually that since we've opened in Bridesburg, I believe I'm starting to pay attention more to the homes there, talking to the neighbors that have been there. We've had people stop in that have said their homes have been in their family for 80 years, 75 years. So we kind of joke, we say, "What's your kitchen look like?" And they're like, "It looks like it's 75 years old." So,
and you have to be honest, right?
Yeah. Very honest, yeah. So we and you just drive through and you see windows like the neighborhood's so well taken care of. The homes are so taken care of, but you could tell that they're outdated. So we think as the older generation starts to turn out, those homes will start to be renovated and values will just continue to increase even more.
And those are the homes to look for, right? Because when they've been well taken care of, it's just cosmetic. They call them the grandma specials, right?
I love the grandparent special. Usually the roofs are good, the HVAC units are good. You just got to go and do kitchen and bath and some flooring, and you're home free. So
and those are prime time investments right there.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I dig it. I dig it. All right, cool. So let's step back. I know a bit of your story. I've seen you on a couple different podcasts, but I want to give everyone, let's give the rundown. Let's go way back to Little Ed, Liled, Little Ed, right? Tell us where you hail from. Where'd you grow up? High school, all that good stuff.
So we grew up in like the Wissinoming section of Philadelphia. My parents moved me in there when I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and grew up there until I was probably 28 years old. We moved out about 10 years ago. I went to like St. Bartholomew grade school from 1st grade to 8th grade. I truly say that like Wissinoming was the greatest neighborhood. I say greatest neighborhood on the planet growing up as a kid, because there were literally thousands of friends that we've had. And
so you had an old school upbringing. You're young though. Are you still? How old are you?
I'm 38.
Yeah, you're young, man. You're
Yeah,
young. So you had that. So you still had the old school upbringing where your head wasn't in the iPad all the time, huh?
We didn't even know. I actually joke around with my kids. I say I didn't get a cell phone until I was out of high school. Like, I didn't know what texting was until 2004 when I graduated.
But I know you had that beeper, bro. Come on.
Definitely, man.
I forget the codes. I used to remember them, like what they the I love yous and the whatever. I used to remember those codes.
You remember them? Don't lie. You remember for sure. Yeah. So I grew up in Wissinoming. I went to St. Bart's grade school. My original family, it was my mom, my dad, and there were 4 boys growing up. So I was.
One of 4, huh?
Yeah, I was the third child, and then my parents had got divorced, and my dad got a new girlfriend, and then she had 2 kids, which is when I actually got a sister. It was a sister and then another brother. But growing up, there was 4 boys, and it was us 4 and my dad. So it was it was craziness in my house. It was 5 guys growing up for a couple of years.
So 4 Philly brothers, like diehard sports fans. Like what was the thing there?
Not really. So we played sports when we were kids, but once my parents separated, there was they didn't push us to do sports anymore. It kind of just faded away real quick, and we were all into different stuff. I mean, my oldest brother was just into repairing things. The brother under him, my brother George, he recently passed away. He kind of went off the deep end and started doing his own thing, and then it was me who watched everybody and kind of analyzed what everybody was doing. And then my youngest brother, he passed away recently, well, a few years back at this point, and he was kind of like the wild child that always having fun and just ripping and running the streets like a crazy kid he was.
So you had that, but all in all, were you guys in the house, family wise, were you guys tight knit?
100%. Yeah. So when my parents split up, my dad was like, "You 4 boys are going to stay together." So if one of you decides to live with me, you're all going to live with me. If one of you decide to live with your mother, you're all going to live with your mother. So he was like, I'm not going to, the only option is you guys are living together as siblings, but one of you need to decide where you're going to live, and that's where everybody's going to live. And that's kind of how it played out. So he didn't want us to be separated. He always wanted us to be together as brothers, which I look back now and I'm very thankful for. Yeah. But when you're growing up with 2 different parents, 2 different households, it was tough to decide where you were going to be, whose house you were going to wake up on Christmas. But it worked out. I mean, I think everybody goes through that as kids at some point. It's just the way it is.
And then having different ages, you saw so many different things, and look, boys will be boys no matter what. I mean,
so I stopped out last night with my oldest brother, and he's like 4.5 years older than me. So all his friends know me to this day. They know my name. And every time someone's like, "Hey Ed, how you doing?" I look at him, I'm like, who the hell is that guy? I don't even remember his name. So there's so many different levels.
Sorry, I'm going to give shout outs to her in there. Don't let it distract you.
Yeah, no worries. So many different layers of friends and just people you end up meeting growing up.
Yeah. So, and then what was, I guess, for people that don't know the area, was it mostly blue collar? Like what kind of what's socioeconomic? Like what'd you grow up with?
Wissinoming, it was kind of just like the dad would go to work, the mom would stay home, take care of the neighborhood.
What'd your dad do?
We laugh about that when people ask. So we say he was an entrepreneur. So I always joke around. I said he was too heavy for light work and he was too light for heavy work. So whatever he could make money doing, that's what he did. But he actually was in real estate for a decent amount of our life. Yeah. So that's kind of why, that is why I'm in real estate is because of him. He was like an office manager for a few years for a couple different companies. Some of the real estate agents you probably know to this day, we used to go into a real estate office up on Castor Ave called Century 21 Action. And Sue Heller was the broker. So like a Carol McCann was in there, Carolyn Mosley, like a lot of these agents that are still around we used to go through their real estate offices and throw all the paperwork off their desks as kids and like torture them. So he was in real estate for a while, and that's where I kind of learned the business and that's why I originally started real estate too, years back.
So what was your thing growing up? What were you into? Were you solo? Like, did you a lot? You were introverted, extroverted, music, sports? What was your thing?
I started working.
Yeah.
So at like 12 years old, let me try to think about this. So yeah, like 7th grade, I was like 12 years old. I started working. So my dad was like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, I don't want to play sports. I don't really know. He's like, "Go to work." So I went down to the first pizza shop I found down on Tarsdale Ave, and they gave me a job. I was in 7th grade. And then, yeah, that's when I started working, like 7th grade. And I never kind of like always hung out and did my thing, but I always wanted to have like, a couple dollars in my pocket.
That's what I was going to say. Was that the motivation for you?
Yeah, I never growing up as, with 5 boys in one house, I was like, "Dad, can I get $1 to go to the store?" And I was like, "I don't have it." So
right.
As a very young kid, I realized like I always want to have a couple dollars in my pocket no matter what I have to do. And that's when I started working when I was in 7th grade. I never stopped. So,
and what was that job? What'd you do there? Did you sling the dough?
No. So we made tomato pies on weekends, actually. So it was like my 7th grade going into 8th grade, and they started making tomato pies. They would sell to ShopRite. They would sell to a couple different places. So I ended up knowing the owner. The owner knew our family, so he kind of gave me a shot. I would work every Saturday and Sunday for like 4 hours when I was that young, and we'd make tomato pies, and we would package them up and freeze them. And then the next week I'd come back and we'd make 1,000 more tomato pies, whatever.
Wow.
At that point, yeah.
Are they still doing that?
Nah. They're still around. The owners are still around, but they don't do that anymore. I don't think. I'll actually call them and ask them, see if I can.
I'm curious to know. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions about tomato pie. And for people is tomato pie a Philly thing? Because I don't know many people that get tomato pie outside of Philly, bro.
I don't know. I feel like
I know Norristown has it, but I feel like Trenton may have it too. Now that I think about it, I take that back.
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
Now, do you eat it cold? Do you know that or no?
I had leftover Santucci's for breakfast this morning, so
dude, it's so good. Oh my god, it's so good.
I guess I don't know the answer because I never like went out of state and said, "Can I get a tomato pie?"
Yeah, I don't think I found tomato pie outside of this area. I'll be honest with you. I still don't know to this day if you're supposed to eat it cold or hot. I don't know.
It's definitely better cold.
Yeah, I agree.
It's definitely better cold.
I 100% agree. And this guy wasn't open to the public. He was just wholesaling it.
Yeah. He would just have huge orders and sell them to like literally like ShopRite, and people would buy them from ShopRite.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right. So so out of that was it just the job, or did you take anything from it?
I feel like I learned something from him, and it was I showed up late one time and he gave me a look, and I said, "What's wrong?" He said, if you're 10 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late. And I thought about that for weeks. I'm like, what the hell did he mean by that? And then I realized, like, if you're going to work for someone or somewhere or have an appointment, you should always be 15 minutes early. And that kind of stuck with me from like, 7th, 8th grade till now. It wasn't making what we were doing. It was that message that always stuck with me forever. Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why. I think that's what life is. You always pick up one thing or two things from certain people, and that's what gets you through.
You're a deep dude, man. You're a deep guy over there, huh? All right, I get it. That's what I'm trying. I'm peeling the onion. So believe it or not, in doing this, you find the answers as to what builds you out and to where you are and all these good stuff. So believe it or not, I think obviously dad and the 4 boys, but then the first job is being at such a young age and understanding punctuality, which I'm still working on. I'm not gonna lie. I try, bro. I try.
Well, in this industry, we're always late, no matter what. So it's the opposite of what we want. If you ask my office, I'm late to everything. I'm late to the meetings I set up sometimes.
All right. So we got that. We got the family dynamic. Understood. And high school was where? Did you say where'd you graduate high school?
I went to Father Judge for 9th grade.
Oh, Judge, yeah.
Yeah, went there for 9th grade. And then for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, I went to Franklintown Charter High School, which...
Where's that?
That's in the Frankfurt Arsenal, which is in the Bridesburg section of Philadelphia, actually.
Oh.
So there's the old arsenal where I think like World War II, they were making the guns and the ammo and all that stuff. And a school opened up inside of that arsenal.
Wow.
And I went there for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, yeah.
What was the reason? Was it a physical move or what was it?
I think it was, I didn't like the Father Judge scene. I wasn't going there for sports. I wasn't going there for anything. And I think that's why a lot of people went there, was for sports, great programs, maybe for the education. But
is Judge, what's the famous tight end for the Titans? Is that Judge? What's his name? Frank White? What? I can't remember the guy.
I'm not into sports. You're asking the wrong guy.
Oh, no, dude. I think he passed away too recently. If anyone's watching this, can fact check me. But anyway, go ahead. I digress.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro.
You're asking the wrong guy about sports.
Me too. Me too, man.
My friends are like, we're going to the Eagles game. You want to go? I'm like, I'll go.
But if you ask me about the last episode of Shark Tank or the Real Housewives of New Jersey, I'm all over that.
I don't know about the Housewives of New Jersey. Sure.
So, all right. So Frankfurt Arsenal or Frankfurt Charter, sorry.
Franklintown Charter, yeah.
Franklintown Charter. Was that? Give me the rundown of that. Small classes, like what was that like? What was the school there like?
So when I went there, it was actually the first year they were open. So they opened, yeah. I was actually the second graduating class of the school. So I kind of think it was like a very disorganized school from what I was looking at from a 10th, 11th grader. We had fun. I mean, our teachers were literally 4 years older than us. So the teachers that were there were just out of college, because what do you got to go to college to be a teacher? 4 or 5 years, I think. So they were brand new teachers. Actually,
did you guys go after that or what? I mean, come on.
What do you mean go after it?
I mean, torture the hell out of these guys. I mean, they're young guinea pigs, not knowing what they're doing. I mean, come on. You know what I mean, bro.
So one of my teachers is always on my Facebook post. We were commenting today. I put a post up about, canceled schools before it snows. And she was like, you were murder student in high school. And we're still friends and we joke about it now. But, we had fun. It was a great time, actually. Actually, one of the realtors you might know, Jeff George. Do you know him?
No, I don't think so.
He's a pretty big realtor in Philadelphia, too. He was one of our teachers. He wasn't actually my teacher, but he was a teacher in the school. And he's like, I'm 38. He's like 41 years old or something, or 42 years old. I don't know. I'll have to. Jeff, how old are you, man? Yeah, so it was good, though. We had a lot of fun there, It was great.
I don't even know what I would have been bad. I would have been real bad, dude. Oh my God. All right. So high school, what are you thinking when you're about to graduate? What are your plans? Where's your head at that point?
I actually tried to re-enroll back into 12th grade when I graduated, but they wouldn't let me because
just to try to learn more or what?
I knew I wasn't doing college. I knew I wasn't doing a trade school. I knew I wasn't doing like anything. There's my daughter. What are you doing? Come say hi. I knew I wasn't doing anything, so I kind of was lost coming out of high school. There was no one was pushing me to go to college to do anything else, and it was just I knew I just had to get to work, and that's I really started working even more at that point.
Which, I mean, let's be honest. At that point, you have two options. You can go left or right. Thankfully, you went to the. When I say right, I mean in the direction that led you to a more productive life. Because when you're in flux like that, and coming from where you're coming from, it could have gone the opposite way, right?
So kind of like I said earlier, like I was always an observer. I always watched what people were doing, and I learned lessons. So a lot of people around me at that point, they were doing things that were leading them down the wrong path. And I could witness that. And I was friends with them. And I just decided that I'm not going to do those things, like I've never been in AA. I've never been in NA. Everyone I hang out with, they're in the program. They're doing their thing. And, but I've never gone down that road, thankfully. I mean,
why do you think that is? Just personality?
For me, I always go back to we would be out hanging out. My friends would be like, do you want to do this? You want to do that? And I've always made decisions just not to do things for some reason. I don't know why. My whole family was literally had addictions. Everybody in my entire family. So for some reason, it just skipped me, and I'm thankful every single day.
Well, you have a good addiction, we should say, right?
Depends who you ask.
Yeah,
working 24/7 is not a good addiction either.
I mean, I don't think people understand. I mean, for where you are in life, right, and where you've come through, and that's the next question. The next question is going to be mentors. So we're gonna. I still want to finish your story and get there, but that's one thing to put in the back of your mind as we keep going, because I want to figure out, was this all done on your own? I mean, is there someone that gave you that little kick that really put you to where you are? But go ahead, finish up. So go ahead. So you get out, you graduate high school. Now what? I
start working at Steve's Princess Steaks.
I heard this. This is the story I know about you. So this is what I know about you.
She's rolling her eyes at me.
You're at the original, right? You're at the
original. So if there were 20 workers there, 18 of them are from my neighborhood. So they get me a job, and I, again, observing what's going on, what position do I want to be in? Everyone starts, making French fries and sweeping the floors. And I quickly realized I want to move up. And the owner starts coming in. The owner, Steve, I'm still friends with him. I talk to him probably once a week at this point still. From 2003, I'm still friends with this guy.
I have some family friends that know him and his daughter, actually.
Yeah. Abby, fantastic. Yeah. I know the whole family. Ross, I know.
Yeah, I did the food truck at a 40th birthday a couple of years ago, dude. It was dope. It was dope.
It was such a great idea for them doing that.
Oh man. Yeah. So for those who don't know, and there are people out there that may not have heard of Steve's. Everyone thinks of Pat's and Geno's, but if you're from Philly, right, of a couple other spots, but Steve's is always in the mix. Steve, if I'm not mistaken, is Steve's the pioneer of the Melted American?
Yeah, he from the story he tells is he created the Melted American.
Okay.
And he actually told a story before that Chicky and Pete's took it off of him, and they kind of took the reins for it. But the story is Steve created the Melted American.
That's what I thought. I knew he was the pioneer. I knew it.
Yeah, that's what he says. But he's like a Joe Pesci. So if you meet this guy, so he I think was, besides family, he was my first true mentor in life and in business, where through the years I worked for him on and off. We did different ventures and had different conversations and things. And he taught me about business. He taught me about understanding the ins and outs about business when it comes to the financials, the percentages, everything you need to know to keep the business going. And then the most important thing he taught me was how to handle people, how to always try to make people happy. When people complain, you say, what makes you happy? So like something so simple, you come in and order a Whiz Wit, and somebody would order that, you'd give it to them, and they go, no, I wanted no onions. So instead of arguing with them, you go, and they come up, they go, this isn't what I want. What did you want? I wanted Whiz no onions. Okay, here you go. Boom. And something so simple of giving somebody exactly what they wanted always stuck with me, because that's what people want. When people complain, if you just say, what's going to make you happy? And you give them what they want, their misery goes away and they're happy in all aspects of life, I think. So besides the business part, he taught me how to handle people and just kind of give people what they want, make them happy, and it always works for me.
So how'd you get him to notice you? Like, did you just stand out in the way you approached your work?
I always just worked. I mean, like when somebody would call out, they would call me like, you want to work? I'm there. It's going to take me 22 minutes to get there. I'm on my way. And I would show up. When when it was busy, like we would work till 5 p.m. If it was busy, I wasn't that kind of worker that would run out the door. I would stand there and make sure everybody got caught up and everybody was back on track. And then I would leave. I would still clock out at 5 and I maybe stay till 5:30 or 5:40 or something like that. And I think just the hard work, people, a lot of people don't work hard. A lot of people don't. They say they want to work hard and they don't show up for some reason. So, he always used to say, if you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. And that's what it always was. So, and then I never stole, never did anything like that. So then you build trust within, and that's when you start to take it to the next level. So.
Well, I mean, it's interesting though, because, you're making cheesesteaks. It's at the end of the day, you're making cheesesteaks, right? And for you to be in that mindset of, almost immediately, this is a stepping stone, right? You're not getting lost in the moment, because that's what people do. People are more worried about what's going on and why they're there and all this other crap. Your thought is, this is a stepping stone. Like, I'm going to just kill it here and keep going.
So again, analyze just the way I've always been of analyzing what is going on. Like, I'm like, this guy just makes cheesesteaks, right? But there's always people here ordering cheesesteaks. He's always on a vacation. He's always down the shore in Florida or at his home. And there was a reason for that. It was so simple that most people couldn't figure it out. And that's what kind of caught my attention right away. Why is this business so simple, but nobody else can really achieve the success that he achieved with it? And that's kind of what always stuck out to me.
So the service was just as important as this. I mean, obviously the steak and the taste and everything was good, but it was the service.
Well, sometimes I'm sure you've walked in there after having a few beers or something, right? And they're like, what do you want? So the service isn't always top notch, but when it's really busy, if you're if you're trying to have a 30-second conversation with the person taking your order, you're going to wait 4 hours for a cheesesteak. So you got to a point where you were you had to be firm and direct to keep everything moving. But when somebody complained, you give them exactly what they wanted. And that's kind of what always stuck out for me. So we would mess up orders, and people come, that's not what I want. I go, what did you want? Okay, here you go. And that would be
you ready? You ready for a summer job? You ready? I was a Wawa hoagie maker before they had the kiosks. So when these guys would come in off a construction site and give me a 30 sandwich order, dude, it was never right, bro.
That's when you had to write them down on a piece of paper back in the day.
It was never right. I was a ticket ripper at the Regal, all right, in Huntington Valley off of County Line. I was the Byberry and Philmont Wawa in the Northeast Philly Huntington Valley borderline.
Yeah.
I was there 2 summers. I was horrible. I would mess those orders up so bad. And you know what was funny? I did give them what they want because it was Wawa. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, there's mustard on this? You don't want it? No problem.
No problem. Get another sandwich. That's all.
Because at $9.50 an hour, I didn't give it. I just didn't look at the way you did because I didn't really have any mentors from Wawa. Sorry, Wawa.
Yeah.
What's up, JD? Oh man. So all right. So Steve, Prince of Steaks, guys, if you're from this area, this is why I love this story, right? Because we all know Steve's. Everyone knows Steve's.
Everyone.
But listen to this. His biggest influence. Am I right? Am I misquoting you?
He's my number one mentor.
Your number one mentor was Steve, Prince of Steaks. And if you know Steve's Prince of Steaks business, right, it's no joke, right? That's the one thing. You go there and you eat the steaks, but if you look at what this guy's built, whoo, it's a cash machine. It's a cash machine.
He said never tell people my numbers or I'll come back and kill you, kid. That's what he used to say.
You're probably oh my God, I got to learn how to make cheesesteaks. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's the number one mentor for me for sure. Yeah.
So how long were you there?
So I worked at the original one for, I don't know, trying to think of a timeline, a few years. And then I left. And then I went into the casino industry. I started working at Harrah's down in Chester.
How'd that conversation go with your biggest mentor, by the way? What'd you tell Steve?
I put in my 2-week notice, and I think he fired me the same day, actually. No, I actually forget. I forget how it went, but he knew I was leaving. He knew I wanted to try something else, and we sat down and we talked about it a few times. And I said, I just have to try something else. Like this isn't. I don't think this is something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Well, she turned it off.
Yeah.
And then I went in the casino industry. I went to Harrah's down in Chester. I was a table games dealer, supervisor, and I was dealing like blackjack, craps, and roulette. And that was probably 12 years ago at this point. I'm trying to think of the time frame of it. So probably 12 years ago. Yeah, so about 12, 13 years ago. I was down there, and then so I was working there 40 hours a week, and then I started working at Sugar House as well. So I would work at Sugar House as a dealer I would work at Sugar House from 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then I would go drive to Harrah's and work at Harrah's from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Yeah. So I was working 80-hour weeks. I did that for like a year straight to just.
All right. So give me some good stories. What's the biggest amount you saw someone lose? What's the biggest amount you saw them win? Give me some good stuff, bro.
So the day I decided to leave the casino industry, like my moment of leaving was I was dealing to somebody that I actually knew. Ironically, it was one of Steve's friends that I knew, and he was you call him a whale or whatever. He was a big time gambler. So him and another friend would come in, they would play craps, and he lost $150,000 in 3 hours. Oh. And it actually made me sick. Where after they left, I went into the bathroom and got sick. So at that moment, I was like, I have to get back out of the casino industry. I was like, I have to leave here because people don't win. You go to a casino, you want to go out with your friends or something, or you want to go see a show and you want to gamble a couple $100, that's fine. But
what was he like when he was losing that? Was he crying? Like
very agitated. Yeah. I'll never forget it. I'll never ever forget it. So.
Oh my God.
But we watched him win. The thing is, like, we watched him win hundreds of thousands of dollars on different days too. Yeah, so it never doesn't bother you when you're watching people win. You're like, beat the casino. We want you to. But when somebody loses that much money that fast, like you're like, oh, could you imagine losing 150,000 in 3 hours?
Nah, bro. No. No. All I can tell you is there's not enough free buffet tickets to help me on that journey there. Wow. So that would do it. Okay, and that makes sense. All right. And
that's why
I'd like to help people. I'd like to help people grow their wealth, not throw it down. 150 grand. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, so. Any other good stories? I mean, did T.O. come in all crazy or nothing like that?
We used to see, so like I said, I don't know sports, but like when like Brandon Graham got signed to the Eagles, they would come in and they would play blackjack and stuff like that. There was a couple of those guys, they would come in, 3 or 4 of them probably after practice or something, and they would play. We used to see when I worked at Sugar House, like Beanie Siegel used to come in all the time. Yeah. So we used to deal craps to Beanie Siegel and everything. And
that's cool.
Exactly the way he is in songs is exactly the way he is in real life, for the record. Very like give it to me kind of thing.
Oh man, that's fun. All right, so you're like, screw you saw a dude go down 150 large. You're like, I'm out. So now what? You don't call Steve back.
So yes, actually. So
you called Steve back.
Yeah. So at that like exact moment, he was opening up a location in Center City at like 16th and Chestnut.
Yep.
So he calls me one day, and I look at my phone and I answer. I go, I say, where's the location? He goes, how did you know? He goes, I just signed the lease. I said, because you told me you will call me when you want me to come back, and you're calling me. And we joked about it. So he tells me the location. I say, okay, let's get together and talk. And then he opens up the location down at 16th and Chestnut, and I quit the casino and I go back as like a general manager. So he's the owner. And then I was working, his daughter, Abby, me and Abby were like working side by side.
So you ran that place when it opened, huh?
Yeah. I was there from day one, and I worked there for a few years, and it was craziness down there. I mean, it was busy. The lunches were jam packed, because everyone's coming down from the high rise. This is pre-COVID now. So Center City's packed. Like you can't drive down there. You can't walk down there. The summers, it's all tourists. It's all Europeans. You can't understand half the things that people are saying because people come to Center City from all over the world.
Yeah.
And so I worked there for a few years as a general manager. And then again, learned so much more about business because now it was like the day-to-day operations of it.
What was the lease there? I'm curious. What kind of rent is that spot?
That goes back to saying what he said. You tell my numbers, I'll kill you, kid. So
can I get all right? So I'm gonna guess. You could shake your head. I'm gonna say that kind of a location. That's over 10 grand a month. Over 10 grand a month. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of cheesesteaks.
He used to complain about it. I'm like, come on, man, that's a Monday afternoon for a guy like you. It's not even a Friday night for him now.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, it was. So the pressure was on because the rent was super high. There was and you're busy, so you have a ton of workers down there.
Yeah,
and the pressure was on, and that's like I learned everything about business those couple of years.
I was gonna say now I mean when you can run a place like that, then you're ready for a whole squadron.
Well, with that pressure, I'm like, you can handle anything. When you work in, I feel like when you work in a restaurant business, especially a busy one, you can almost handle any job. If you can work in a busy restaurant that's go, 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 you can handle anything that life throws you.
Yeah.
Because there's so many obstacles in that industry where if you can be successful at it, you can be successful at anything.
And you and I have another question. He never ran out of steaks? Never ran out of fries?
No.
How do you do that?
So the meat guys, they know what we're doing, right? So like you know how much, how many pounds, like how many sandwiches a week you're making on average. And then how many ounces per sandwich you're making. So it's all the percentages, it's all the mathematics that you learn.
Huh.
So the meat guys, they're constantly working. If we're running low, we call them. They're not that far away. They're delivering. If we call them, it's just kind of staying on top of the inventory. The French fries, the cheese, the soda. I mean, you could call them and they show up the next morning. They show up the same day. Like there were times where we were running low on rolls or something because you get unexpected rush and you could go to another location and grab some rolls and bring them down. So very rare where, I mean, we never ran out. You always knew what you were doing and you knew how many orders of French fries you can make out of one box. Like you figure it out and then how many you have to order and how many you have to keep stored and things like that.
Interesting.
So
the meat guys know. we're not gonna dive into the meat guys. Yeah.
And it's like rotation too with that industry. So you can't just bring things in and throw it on top of other things. Like you have to constantly rotate and constantly keep it moving. But you figure it out, when you do it for so long.
And my last Steve's comment, man, that cherry soda. Ooh. Yeah. That's good, dude. That's a good cherry soda right there.
You ever have one of those chocolate cherry sodas?
No, is that him?
See?
Oh, wow. You know
they do
what?
The cherry soda, and they put some chocolate syrup in it.
Is that on the menu?
Yeah. Ooh. They call it a chocolate soda. So they do a chocolate soda where it's chocolate syrup and like seltzer. But if you get a chocolate cherry, it's a
game
mind
changer.
blow.
Wow.
It's a mind game.
Oh my God, dude. I got it. Ooh.
We'll have to meet there one day. I'll teach you.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Maybe they'll give me some free sandwiches next time I go there.
At this point, why not?
Yeah.
All right, so you've had it with that. All right, let's get into real estate. We got 20 minutes to go with real estate. It's funny. You see, you don't even realize.
I know. I'm looking at like 39 minutes already. Jesus.
Now let's get into the meat. Let's get into what everyone's waiting on. So let's talk from the beginning. How'd you get in? What was the hustle like? Give me that whole thing.
From the very beginning of real estate?
Yeah.
So I got my license in 2007, and I started working down in like the Kensington section of Philadelphia, like G and Allegheny, like Kensington and Allegheny. So
I have a property at the corner of 5th and Lehigh.
Yeah, so you know the area.
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't as bad as it is right now. We're talking 17 years ago when I started down there, and we started. It was a small office, maybe 5 or 6 agents in there. I was in there as much as I possibly could, and we realized that how to get buyers pre-approved that didn't really have income. So we learned about alternative credit, where you could say you'd get letters from grocery stores back then and say, hey, they run a tab and they pay it off every month, things like that.
Who'd you work for down there?
That was called Realty World Kleeman Real Estate.
Because there's 2 guys that are down there. It was a son and a father. I can't remember their names. It's escaping me right now. I'm going to remember it too.
Me and my dad.
Was it? Was it you and your dad?
If that's the same office you're talking about, yeah.
Oh, that's funny, dude. Oh, that's real funny. So it was you and your dad. Okay. All right.
If that's what you're talking about. There was a couple there was Nick's Real Estate down there. I think they were
Nick's, yeah.
Yeah, they were small company as well. So we learned how to deal with first-time home buyers, very low income, people in Social Security. We found out that people were getting Social Security. It was like mom, dad. They'd have 2 or 3 kids. Everybody's getting Social Security. So we'd make one person with the best credit, the payee for everybody's Social Security, and we'd help them get pre-approved and buy and move out. So I learned first-time buyers down there because you're getting people approved to buy homes that are just have different ways of having income. You just have to prove it, and how they make payments and things.
So let's talk about that. So you're in the community. Your advertising is what? Just people off the street? How are you getting business?
We were paying a guy to stand at the corner at Kensington and Allegheny and hand out flyers. We paid a guy $5 an hour. Wow. So we would print up flyers in the office, and they would stand there, buy a home for $1,500 out of pocket.
Wow, that's the real grind. That's the real grind. Wow.
I don't even think I had Facebook then. I don't even think I had Instagram. I didn't have. There was no CRM systems. It was just grind. Wow. And you would be calling people's house phones. People didn't even have cell phones. Some people didn't have cell phones back then. So
wow.
We paid a guy $5 an hour, 40 hours a week to stand on the corner and give out flyers. And he had to give out so many a day. It was like, we'll pay you $40 a day or whatever it was, but you have to hand out whatever that stack or whatever that amount was. You had to hand it.
And he was super effective.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and people would walk in and we would get those listings. I actually still have a client from that year that I have helped about 12 times since that.
Wow.
And we're like friends. It's like a girl. I don't want to say her name, but she's just I never believed it. And she just bought and sold. And then it's a family member she refers over.
Right.
Like that. So you just constantly help them. And because they didn't believe it was possible and you made it possible for them.
So you and Dad open up. You knew nothing about real estate at that point.
It was an existing business and he was kind of just running it. Yeah.
It's an existing business. Was that their model or did you guys create that model?
When he kind of took over as a manager or whatever his deal was then, I never really got involved with him, to understand the logistics. They weren't doing anything. They were just there. They were like, we don't know. We have no business going on. We have no transactions. What do we do? And my dad being with the joke around about being an entrepreneur, do anything you can to make money. He's like, this is what we're going to do. And we laughed, but it worked. So
wow,
yeah,
that's pretty. I'll tell you what, man. Talk about knowing your audience.
Imagine seeing a busy bus stop right now. You see a realtor out there handing out paper. You think anybody's doing that?
Yeah,
nobody's doing that.
No,
nobody.
No, but would it work? That's the question.
I still think the old school tactics still work.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that old school, bro. You're in the 2000s. Yeah.
True.
I mean, it's not that far out. But so you're there. I just got to get a feel. To me, it's crazy. It's so funny because it's so old school, but it's so effective. So you're there. How many people is coming through your door? What kind of volume are you talking?
I mean, you have a lot of people that come through, but then it was the credit situation.
Yeah, it's crap.
Credit's not great. So then you're trying to help them, but you can't because low funds to pay things down or, to try to build up scores. So it was just a constant grind, of trying to help.
Who are you flipping them to? You have a finance guy? Who was your go-to? Did you have
We used, I don't know if you remember Dan Carnation or Dan Carnation. He used to work at Boulevard Mortgage Company.
No.
So we were working. He's an old school guy. Maybe not old school. He's probably in his 50s, maybe late 50s, early 60s. If I was to guess, I'm terrible with ages for people. But he would come down. He would be like, all right, I'll be here 2 days a week from 10 to 2. So tell the people to come in at that time and I'll work with them. And that's kind of what we did. And he had some tricks too.
Would you have like an assembly line? They'd come in, you'd register them. He'd look at it.
They kind of come in. We'd capture their information. Where are they living? What's the house phone number? There was no. Most people didn't have emails or anything. We would capture the information and be like, okay, you have to come back on Tuesday or Thursday between 10 and 2, and our mortgage guy will be here. And he would run credit right on the spot. The computer would be open. He would run credit right on the spot. They used to charge like $20 a credit report or something back then, or $25, whatever they charged, like to offset the cost. So
you imagine if we asked for that now?
Yeah. We'd be like, yeah, you come down, you got to bring us lunch. So we'd make them bring us lunch and stuff like that. So yeah, you can come and bring lunch.
I'd rather have lunch. All right. Yeah. So you're doing this. How many years you do that for? What was that like? How long did you go for that?
That was for a few years. So 2007, I got my license. I would say till probably 2010, maybe 2011, somewhere in that range.
You're churning and burning. You're seeing a couple one-offs that maybe are a little bit better than the lower stuff.
Yeah, we're not taking over the world. I mean, we're doing some deals, but we're not taking over the world by any means,
Right.
And then I kind of just decided that I had to get out of there. I couldn't do that anymore. Couldn't be down there. We were watching people get robbed right out front. There was people getting shot right out front. Like we're at G and Allegheny. It's not. Yeah. It's not for people that know Philadelphia. Kensington and Allegheny is like a war zone. Right now, it was a war zone back then. So I was like, I have to get out of here. So I went up to the northeast, and I went to a company called Philly Real Estate. It was an Asian-owned real estate company.
I know. Do they have a spot off Washington Ave too?
They do.
I know them. Yeah. I've done a couple deals with them. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I went there for a little bit, and we were like my dad knew the broker of that company, so I was like, I'll just go there.
I was gonna ask you, no, I mean, it's not a racial question, but why would you go to an Asian real estate company?
It was just somebody my dad knew as another broker.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had done deals.
And again, not a racist question. Were you the only white dude in there?
Only.
Yeah. And I guess that's an advantage.
Yeah. So, but it was very difficult because there was a language barrier, right?
Yeah.
So I'm talking to the broker, and it was very difficult. Like if I had questions, the language barrier made it really tough. So just like now, if somebody contacts me that speaks Spanish or French or something, if there's a language barrier, I say, I'm sorry, I can't work with you. I can refer you to somebody, because if you can't understand them, you can't work with them. That's just the way
that makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. So I only stayed there a little bit, and I told him, I said, listen, I have to leave. It's nothing against your company. It's nothing, but I can't have a conversation. It's very difficult. So how am I going to learn?
I think that's reasonable, Ed. I think that's a reasonable.
I felt bad leaving. He's a great guy.
I think it's reasonable for you to leave.
I think so. I feel bad when I tell the story, though, but that's part of the journey.
Yeah, you shouldn't feel bad, dude. If you can't understand the broker, it ain't gonna work.
Very tough. Yeah. Yeah, man. Tough.
All right. So the next move was English speaking. Where'd you go?
So then I go to Berkshire. As at this point, I'm a part-time agent. I'm still like all these other jobs are kind of in the mix, and I go to Berkshire, which is literally, I don't know, half a mile away from this place, Berkshire Prime Real Estate. And just take a picture of me. My daughter's taking a picture of me, sending her friends.
On Facebook. Tell her to get a little screenshot.
On Facebook. So I go there as a part-time realtor at Berkshire. And
by the way, what's she cooking up? I gotta know.
That's my son's using the air fryer, making foods on this. He puts stuff in the air fryer and goes back to his room. So
I'm on a diet. I don't eat past 7 o'clock, so it's killing me right now.
Sorry to hear that.
I know, it's killing me, bro. The chocolate soda is like death.
Get the chocolate cherry, dude. I'm telling you, it's the chocolate cherry.
God, you have no idea how excited I get hearing that right now. Yeah. So you go to Berkshire. Where is Berkshire?
I go to Berkshire Prime Real Estate at Frankfurt and Cottman, which is kind of like my stomping grounds. It's where I grew up in Wissinoming. This is in Mayfair. It's the next neighborhood up.
Yeah.
And I went there because I knew that broker's son. So, he's like, oh, you should check out my dad's company. So I end up going to Berkshire as a part-time agent.
Frank, and for those that don't know, I want to make sure I'm right. Frankfurt and Cottman is the party spot when the Eagles win, no?
Correct.
All right.
Eagles, Phillies,
Yeah.
Flyers, like that. If you go to like Broad Street or you go to Frankfurt and Cottman, it's like one of the two. So,
got it. Yeah.
Jesus. So I'm there as a part-time agent, and then I'm still working, I don't know, between the casino and Steve's, and then I leave Steve's. I quit Steve's, and on like Friday, I forget the exact date. I used to know it. And then on Monday, I walk in, I say to the broker at Berkshire, I said, I quit Steve's as a full-time job. I'm now full-time real estate. And he goes, are you sure you're ready to do this? And I go, I only have one question. He said, what's that? I said, if you could give me one piece of advice to be successful, what would it be? And he said, treat it like a full-time job. Treat it like just like you did at Steve's, Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, 8 to 6, whatever you did at Steve's and showed up, do that in real estate and you'll be successful. And that one message has stuck with me from that point on. It still sticks with me to this day, probably be with me for the rest of my life. And that's what I say to people. I'm like, people, that moment for me was like, you're self-employed real estate agent. You need to treat it like a full-time job. Like, how can you be successful if you're sitting at home and you're only working 15, 20 hours a week? You're never going to be successful in this industry. You have to treat it like a full-time job. And you have to create a calendar for yourself. And that's kind of like what I learned over the next like 2.5, 3 years when I was with him as a full-time agent.
And what do you do when you first get into it there? What are you getting into? How are you ripping your leads? Are you cold calling, door knocking, Zillow calling? What are you doing?
Door knocking, Zillow leads, and Realtor.com leads.
Yeah,
was it.
And you learned how to chase and close those calls. Is that what you did?
When I was paying for those leads, if they came in, I didn't care what I was doing. I was picking up that phone. If I was out to eat, I would step out front and answer that phone. It did not matter. And people always say, they go, oh, are you pre-approved? Are you working with another agent? Are you this? Are you that? I go, I have a conversation with them and how can I help you? I want to see this house. I'm interested. Okay. When are you available? What day and time? And I'll get it set up. And I would go and meet them. I'm like, I have to get in front of these people because I feel like once you get in front of them, you can build up their trust. So just like roofers or plumbers or electrician or waterproofers, they're chasing leads, right? What do you want? I need a new roof. Okay. I'm going to come out tomorrow. You just go out and do it. And then you get in front of the client or the customer or the consumer, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I did for those leads. I would get in front of that as many people.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I'm the same way with mortgages. When people will text me, they'll just say, send me the stuff. And I'll say, well, when do you have time to talk? That's my first line always. When do you have time to talk? Why do you want to talk? The reason I want to talk is because if we don't talk, you're going to go to 20 other banks online, and I'm just going to be another number. As soon as we talk and connect, that's it.
That's it.
You're going to like me. I'm going to like you. You call and text me in the middle of the night, early in the morning. It's a whole new relationship.
You build trust immediately with a conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I did. And then social media was there, and I was posted on social media. My friends were making fun of me. You're posting too much about real estate. People are going to unfriend you and unfollow you. And I said, I don't give a shit what they do. I don't care. If you are my best friend and you don't like what I'm posting, then unfriend me. I don't care. If you don't like what I'm posting, I don't care. And I don't care because you were never going to use me anyway. If you unfriend me or unfollow me, you were never going to use me anyway. So I don't give a shit. And that was always my mentality. And still to this day, you look at my social media stuff, my personal pages, I post every single day, multiple times a day. I'm a little bit addicted, I think, for sure. That's my addiction. But you have to remind people, like, there's not one person in my sphere that doesn't know exactly what I do.
Yeah. And you know what, though? There's nothing wrong with that if it's something you're passionate about and that gives you pride. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing.
Nah, dude. I mean, and let's be totally honest. It's way better than this weird crap everyone else is putting up. I mean, it's weird, dude.
I've unfriended a few people. I won't lie.
People get super weird. I will never talk politics, and I won't be negative.
No,
I've already learned there's two things. If you want to learn anything about social media, positive and professional. That's it. You
That's
stay
it.
positive, you stay professional, you will always be good in social
One
media.
of my biggest things too is like engagement all around on social media, where create a post that's engaging. Like I put up this is the greatest cheesesteak on the planet because it's engaging and so many people engage on that. Or I'll put up you're canceling school before it even snows. Like it's engaging, you know. And the same thing, you have to engage with other people too. So it's an all around art. I think you have to understand how to do it.
Oh, look, at the end of the day, it's provocation. You're trying to provoke something, right?
Trying to grab the attention.
Oh yeah. It's the guy at the corner with the flyers, bro. It's the same thing.
I'm gonna start doing that again. We'll do another.
I'll tell you, I'm actually like it's intriguing. It really is. I'm sitting there thinking about it as we're talking.
We should co-brand it together. We'll split the cost of the print.
$250 an hour to $250 an hour.
Oh
my God. So all right, so you're at Berkshire, you're hustling your ass off. You're literally taking everything you can get, building every relationship you can get. So you literally grind until you build that relationship, you build the book, you build the notoriety. Now everyone knows Ed's doing real estate. All right. Yeah. And then what? You get a couple real good years under your belt, and then you say, I'm ready to go on my own. Then what?
Yeah, so I decided that it was just time to go out and do my own thing. I think I had the business knowledge from previous jobs. I feel like I had.
And was it because of you were at a certain level financially? Like what was the main catalyst that you said I want my own brand, I want my own company?
I don't know if there's one exact reason.
Yeah.
I think just you asked me before, is it something that was inside of you or something that, you know, and I think that's what it is, right? A desire to achieve more, I think is really what it was.
And I'm going to tell you something, man. Listen to your story. I was going to say it earlier. There's one thing you have that a lot of people don't, even myself. You know when to leave, right? Like people will stay in the same job, in the same location and be stuck. They really will. But it sounds like you have an innate sense of when it's time. You really do.
I believe if you're thinking it's time, it's time. But people don't have the courage to listen to what is being said to you. They don't have the courage. Courage. I don't know.
Hey, listen, I want the authenticity here, okay?
I think people are scared to make changes in life. I just think that they think they're going to fail. And they just don't make the move. And
it's harder when you get older, dude. I mean, when you have a mortgage and you have kids and you got these bills, right? And I always say it, like when I was younger, I should have done so much of this stuff. Like it could have been kamikaze Chad, because who cares at that point? Like I was living in my parents' basement at one point, whatever, dude. Like,
you're still young. You're 35 years old.
Yeah, thank you, bro. I appreciate it. I got my hair cut short on purpose. You know? But, you know, it's true. It really is. It's really true. Don't take those risks when you're super young. You know, like when you know, and anyone in our business will know this, your first year, you lose money. The second year, you barely break even. And then maybe a little bit. And then eventually you can actually make a living. You know?
People think business owners have it all figured out too. They're like, you have it all figured out. I'm like, I have nothing figured out. Nothing.
But this is what you're good at. I can tell. You're good. You know where you should go. Like Bridesburg, you're from that area. It was a natural fit for you.
Yeah.
You know, Parkwood, same thing. You know you're going to be successful in those areas, so it's a calculated move, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It just made sense. So all right, cool. So you're like, you know what? I want to be on my own. I'm out. Peace out, Berkshire. All right, now what, dude? Like, are you scared shitless? Like, do you have this figured out? Like, where are you at in life when you do this?
So scared shitless. Like you said, financial backing. I've always had money saved. I knew the financial status. I knew how long I could survive for if I didn't make money. But I always thought to myself, if I opened up my own company, and even if I was the only agent, I was so successful at Berkshire. Why couldn't I be so successful on my own? Nobody called me and said, "You work with Berkshire. I want to work with you." Like I was paying for leads. I was door knocking. I was doing everything I had to do to get those clients. Did I learn a shit ton at Berkshire? Absolutely. I'll never deny that. Never would. Anything.
And why do you? And was that? Who did you learn it from? Was it the Berkshire way, or was it the broker? Like, what did you learn? What
direct broker?
The broker.
Direct broker.
The broker makes or breaks it.
I think so. You know, I would call him and he would answer. I would have questions and he would respond same day. You know, so
that's the hardest thing to find, dude. Everyone that runs these teams and run these offices, 99% of them, and look, I'm not to knock people, but they don't know how to teach you shit. They don't know how to teach, and I'm just being real.
Yeah,
like when I started selling loans, I'll never forget this. I looked at the guy, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, what am I doing? I don't even know what I'm selling.
You got to teach me.
Yeah, and he looked at me. He's like, "Oh yeah, just go sell the loan." And he'd have the stupid NASDAQ and all these financial things up there. I'm like, dude, I don't know what the hell you're doing. No. So I literally, my first deal was my brother, and then it was this person, and then you fall forward, you learn. But listen, that guy, he's not even working for himself anymore. No surprise. No surprise.
It's tough.
No, it's not tough. He didn't teach me shit. That's why.
Screw that
guy. All right, so you have this calculator, and when you open, do you start out as Honest Real Estate? Was that the name from the beginning?
Yep, very, very first name. Took a while to figure out the name, but once we narrowed it down, we formed the LLC immediately and started looking for a location.
And I'm going to tell you something. So the one thing you don't know about me, and people that know me, is that I am a brand-aholic. Like, that's why I'm Superstar Lender. I'm Superstar Lender because I got superstarlender.com, right?
I like that.
And that's why I said to myself, if I'm going to come out in this game of where it's flooded,
do it all.
I've got to have a little swag. I've got to come up with a name, but I got to stand behind it. Like, people will know that if you that's it. I deliver. If I don't deliver, I ain't a superstar shit.
Yeah,
right?
very true.
but it's true. It's true. And you know, I got the domain, and it's funny. I saw one of your posts, and you talked about the domain thing. And dude, Honest Real Estate. How the hell was that even available?
The LLC or the
whole thing, but the .com. The LLC is one thing, but the .com.
So the .com was not available.
No, but you bought it. What was it, $1,600?
$1,400, I think.
Steal. That's a steal.
The guy could have got me for $10,000.
That's a steal.
I would have paid $10,000 for it.
Dude, that's unbelievable. Like, knowing real estate and how saturated it is, I'm blown away. People that aren't brand people don't get it. I'm blown away that you have that.
I would have paid. So I opened Honest Real Estate, the company, and honestrealestate.com was not available. So I bought thehonestrealestate.com, and I hated it. Yeah. I never liked it. The website was out. People are like, "What's your website?" I'm like, thehonestrealestate.com. Like, it wasn't right. Yeah. So I start searching. I start educating myself. Who owns this domain? And it says somebody owns it, but there's no landing page. There's no web page. I'm like, I'm on GoDaddy. How do I buy a domain? They said, we'll find it for you for like $150. And I said, here's $150. Yeah. The next day they come back to me. We found it. The guy wants $2,500. So I said, offer him $1,000. I said, and he comes back at $1,400. I was going to counter offer again at $1,200. And I said, if I counter offer again, he's going to research Honest Real Estate. Why does this guy want this? I said, give him the fucking money.
Yeah, you're smart. You're smart. And you want to, and this is not funny, but Mark, if you made it this far in the show, Mark Gatta, he is the most painful. He cannot get opaselite.com. It's some random guy in the UK that has this weird, like, airplane website, and he barely uses it. And Mark, every day, I cannot get this goddamn domain name.
Well, he should take us to the UK, and then we'll get it. So we'll where I come from, we'll get what he needs. So.
But no, honestly, and you are so far advanced in that. Like, mom and pop shops will open up, right? And the one thing you have to know about business, guys, is you're always thinking when it sells, if it sells, when it sells. honestrealestate.com, if you put the right muscle behind it, is one of the best independent brands I've ever heard of.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's mind blowing, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate
it's mind blowing to a dude that comes from where you came from and learning and growing, for you to acquire that. And I mean, to me, it's unbelievable. I'm still shocked, like to this day. Dude, it's because I'm a domainaholic. Like people don't know these things go for 6 figures.
I don't even want to tell you how many domain names I actually own right now.
I bet you have more.
A lot. I bought one the other day, actually.
You got 682?
No.
I got 682, bro.
Do you have that many?
Yeah, I hope my wife's not watching.
No. It's scary. I mean, you can really make money on it. It's such and they're so cheap. And if you have an idea, why not buy it? You know,
it's internet real estate. The problem is you just got to wait for the right. But they're worth more as you develop them, and as you grow your business, that name becomes more and more and more valuable. Did you trademark it?
So we've been battling a trademark for like 3 years now. So probably 4 years. So when I originally went for it, Honest Real Estate as a trademark was available, but they denied it because somebody had another trademark that was similar in nature.
Yeah.
So I did research and realized that I was essentially in commerce before him, is how the trademark looks at it. So my attorney goes after the person, and he decides to abandon the mark.
Oh, good.
So we file for it, and we get like where it says live, but it still needs to be approved. In the interim, somebody else slides in when I was going after the other trademark. They slide in, and they get something it's not like Honest Real Estate or anything. It's just something along those lines that it's similar in nature. So they deny you. So right now we're actually going to, they're on like the West Coast. So we're trying to do, I forget the exact wording my attorney used, but it was, you can use it on the East Coast as the trademark, and they can use it on the West Coast. Like you get from these states over, and they get from those states over. And that's what we're working on now, because we're in commerce before them. We feel like that we're the rightful trademark owner, but being 4 years into this at this point, it's just like, how do we get it and kind of own it, and then own the East Coast of that trademark? Which is another valuable thing that most people don't. People think, oh, I have the LLC, but it's only the LLC for that state. It's not the LLC for every state. You have to get the trademark from the federal standpoint to override all that stuff. So it's very difficult, but
it's crazy, man. It really is. It's crazy. But without me going through another 2 hours of interviews, which I could do with you, let's just speed us up a little bit. So you start off, things start going. Are you a one-man show when you get started?
Yeah, I open up strictly by myself. My goal was to just get open and then grow from there. So I opened day one. Single.
Who's your broker?
Me. I'm the broker.
You were the broker. Okay.
Yeah, broker and the owner for Pennsylvania and New Jersey. We do both states. So
okay.
The next day, I'm working with 2 people from Berkshire. The very next day, those 2 join right away. So and they're still with us, both of those 2.
And I was going to say, what's the survival mentality? Is it to grow the agent numbers, or to grow the house sales, or to do both simultaneously? Where's your head at?
The goal is to essentially grow in all aspects. So grow.
No, I meant there. I meant when you opened.
Oh, when I opened, there was no game plan.
Yeah. You just bring as many as you can, sell as much, bring as many agents as you can.
My biggest downfall is I don't actually recruit. So I've had conversations with people, and I'm like, hey, if you ever want to talk, let me know. But I've never recruited somebody. I don't send out recruiting emails. I don't do any of that stuff. So it's all been organic up until this point. And then doing deals with other agents you have relationships with, and they see you grow on social media. We had a couple agents join the last couple of weeks that just kind of have watched us grown over the years, and they reached out to join and things like that. So it's just the focus has always been organic up until this point, just organic growth. So
what's the model now? Is it just agent support? Like, where's your head at?
It's agent support, agent communication. Can you just turn that off? Just turn it off. It's like agent support, and we have mentorship program in place. So if you're like a brand new agent coming on, or you're a transfer from another company, but you have like so many, like you haven't done so many deals. We have a number for it. You go right into our mentorship program.
That's cool.
So, yeah. So simultaneously, it's like, because I mean, we have like 100.
So you could teach people how to be a real estate agent.
Yeah, and that's kind of the focus. So besides like with the mentors, they're learning to become the next level agent as well. Like they're mentors, so they're learning from a leadership standpoint of they're kind of responsible for these newer agents. So they have to meet a certain criteria to get to that to get to that point as well. So there's all those layers to it where the goal is to make people realize what they're capable of achieving from all aspects, from agents within, mentors, buyers, sellers, whoever comes across us, is make that person realize their full potential in all aspects.
That's cool, man. So that's your core. That's the core belief.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I answer the phone. Like most brokers don't answer, but I answer my phone.
Yeah. That's really cool, man. And listen, at the end of the day, you've done enough deals. Now you know what you're talking about, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Boy, you've come a long way since G and Allegheny. Wow. Yeah. All right. So what's the next step? What's the next phase of Honest, bro?
We're working on expansion. So we have an agent.
What about that? What do you call it? Office you got in Southampton? I always drive by. Is that the bank? Oh, next subject.
Yeah, that's a sour subject. But we're getting closer actually. So that's been tough. I've owned that for about 2.5 years now, and we've had a lot of hurdles to overcome, which I knew from day one.
Yeah,
I'm a very impatient person, so I learned to grow some patience with it. I like things to happen immediately. There's an idea, I want to achieve it right away, but we're getting closer. So it's eventually going to happen, and then we're going to make that like the actual headquarters for us.
That's awesome.
And then everything else will kind of like every office is going to be fully operational, but that's going to be like the main location, things like that.
And how many agents do you have now?
We have about 110 right now.
Woo!
Yeah.
Dude, unreal. Yeah. Unreal. 110 agents.
Yeah.
Wow. And the goal is expansion, other states, where are you thinking?
We have an agent now who just finished our New Jersey broker classes. They have to go take the exam. Once they take that exam, then we're gonna look for a physical location in New Jersy, because awesome. right now we just operate out of Pennsylvania. So
I saw a listing of yours. Listen to this. I went to a bar mitzvah on Route 70. Okay, I think it was Route 70, and literally one home off of Route 70, I saw one of your signs. So you must be coming to Jersey.
Yeah.
I think
there's like 35 of the 110, about 35 of us are licensed in New Jersey at this point.
Nice.
So we're starting to see some traction over there, which is good. Not a ton, but I feel like once we get a location there, it's a game changer for us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just like anything.
Yeah. And then like Florida, like what other spots are you thinking?
Delaware is after that. So I did all the classes I had to do for Delaware. So I just have to go take the exam. I'll take the water. I have to go take the exam for Delaware, and then that's like a reciprocal states too, so we can work directly out of this office here or where we're at, and then do Delaware. Florida's in. We have agents that want to move to Florida, so we say get your broker. We'll open in Florida. That kind of thing.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, it's pretty dope, man. And then, do you have like a right hand man, or do you still run the whole McGilly yourself?
I mean, I think like I'm really involved in the day-to-day operations. Like we still process the checks, things like that. And then we have office staff. Like we have office employees full time, and then we have all the mentors and things like that. So I think it's not as difficult as people think if you answer the phone every single day and handle your problems immediately. But I'm still very much involved. I'm more involved now because I'm not doing as many transactions from the personal side. So kind of just focus on growing and being there at all times.
Well, I'll tell you what, dude. Your story is one for the books. I don't know anyone out there that wouldn't listen to this and not be like, you are a straight hustler, dude.
I appreciate it.
110 agents.
Yeah.
Wow. Not bad. Not bad, buddy. Not bad at all.
we can all achieve our goals, man, whatever they are. I mean, everyone's different. Everyone has different goals, and you can achieve them. That's just,
but the difference is you believe it.
true. You have to believe. You have to believe in yourself. That's the hardest part.
It really is. It really is, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I hope to have you back again. I appreciate the hour and 14 minutes you gave me here.
That was felt like 30 seconds, you know.
And we're gonna do a lot of clips from this, do a couple reels, have a little small little dips and dabs. We call them nuggets. We call them nuggets, like of the knowledge you dropped here, man.
I love it. I appreciate it.
I got mad respect for you. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person again. When we met once, real quick at the fights down at Live Casino. Real quick.
I was like, who is this guy?
He's the guy that doesn't shut up, but man, can I get people to talk? Well, listen, man, I appreciate you and everyone out there. Honestly, and it's funny, every time I say honest, it's not a pun. Check out Honest. Yeah, exactly. Check out honestrealestate.com. I mean, authentically, really good people, really solid agents, and you can't go wrong with this guy, man. You just can't. So
I appreciate it.
Ed, I appreciate you. Everyone have a good night. Thanks for watching the Superstars podcast. We will see you next week. Peace.
Thanks, guys.